Welcome back, strangers. Today, we're doing a collaboration with the great Unit 522 on 10 chilling tales from the United Kingdom and Ireland. A glen is the Scottish term for a deep valley in the Highlands of Scotland, of which Glencoe is one of the most well-known and visited glens. It attracts tourists, climbers, and winter sports enthusiasts from all over the world. It is one of the most beautiful areas of untouched wilderness in Scotland. However, it is also the site of treason, betrayal, and slaughter. In 1691, King William III of England and II of Scotland decreed that all Scottish Highland chiefs must take an oath of loyalty to him. Unfortunately, Maclean, chief of the MacDonald's clan of Glencoe, signed the oath 2 days past the deadline, which enraged the new king. To set an example for all Highland clans, the Secretary of State for Scotland ordered the deaths of Maclean and his clan. In early February of 1692, a regiment of British soldiers from the Campbell clan arrived in Glencoe under the command of Captain Robert Campbell. They claimed to be peaceful visitors in the area and took advantage of the clan's Highland hospitality. The soldiers stayed in the homes of the MacDonalds for 12 days, until Captain Campbell received his orders, which read, "To fall upon the rebels, the MacDonalds of Glencoe, and put all of the sword under 70. So in the wee hours of February 13th, the soldiers began brutally murdering their hosts as they slept. It is estimated that 38 of the MacDonalds were slaughtered in the ambush, and another 40 to 100 later died from exposure, hiding in the hills of Glencoe after the attack. The massacre is considered to be one of the greatest tragedies in Scottish history. Many believe that Glencoe is still haunted by the horrific events that occurred that morning hundreds of years ago. The ghosts of Maclean and the slaughtered MacDonalds are often witnessed in the glen. Many report encountering spirits of the clan still hiding in the hills. Some nights, phantom pipers can be heard playing in Glencoe. Most tourists visit the area in the summer, but winter is the best time to visit for a chance of a paranormal encounter. Early on in the morning of the anniversary of the massacre is when the presence of the MacDonalds is felt the strongest. Some have even stumbled upon a phantom reenactment of the massacre and heard the screams of the dying victims. Many believe the massacre could have been worse if it wasn't for the supernatural warning from the clan Cognac, an invisible Scottish banshee whose cries were supposedly heard at a nearby waterfall on the night before the disaster. Some of the clan members took the cries as an omen and fled into the mountains before the massacre began. The Crumlin Road Jail is the most well-known haunted location in Belfast, Northern Ireland. The jail was open from 1846 until 1996 and housed Belfast's most notorious prisoners. It became known as the Crum, or Europe's Alcatraz, despite numerous successful escape attempts from the prison. Over 25,000 people were imprisoned throughout the Crum's history, 17 of which were executed inside the prison's execution chamber. 15 of the executed remain buried inside the prison's unconsecrated ground. The first group of inmates included men, women, and children. Most of the children came from impoverished families who had been caught stealing food or clothing. In 1858, a 13-year-old boy who was serving a 3-month sentence hanged himself from his cell. The feeling of loneliness and regret can still be felt inside the walls of the old jail. The rumors that the prison was haunted began long before it closed. Prisoners would report seeing and hearing things they couldn't explain. Today, doors can be heard slamming shut by themselves. Both male and female voices are often heard calling out for help from deep inside the building. Some of the well-known ghosts include an American Jew who was supposedly hung for the crime he did not commit. He did all that he could to prove his innocence before meeting the hangman. Now he is often seen in each of the prison's different wings. The C Wing is home to the infamous condemned man's cell that would house the prisoners awaiting to be executed. The sound of someone crying can be heard coming from inside the cell. It is thought to be the spirit of a condemned young man who would cry himself to sleep every night before he took his own life instead of meeting the hangman. Also, the apparition of a man is often seen walking down the C Wing before vanishing. Many visitors to the B Wing report seeing a dark figure lurking in the corners that moves from cell to cell. Some even experience the overwhelming feeling of anxiety when they enter the wing. The B Wing is where the famous face in the coffin photograph was taken. It is thought to be haunted by an old warden who won't stop patrolling the old jail. The footsteps of the warden can be heard heading towards the old padded cell where the most paranormal experiences occur in the prison. There is a tunnel beneath the jail that now connects to the abandoned Belfast courthouse. The tunnel was well known to be haunted when the jail was still open. Multiple wardens reported encountering a ghostly gray figure inside the tunnel. Today, the Crum has been resorted and can be toured during the day or even at night on a ghost tour or paranormal investigation of the building. 35 Stonegate has been known as York's most haunted house for centuries. The current building was built in 1482, but records show that different houses have been on the site for the past 1,000 years. Jonathan Craner purchased the building in 1999. Despite knowing of its haunted history, he began a heavy renovation to restore the house. He believes the renovation disturbed something inside the building, and is now believed to be the home of at least 14 different ghosts. The most famous ghost is that of Tom, a tall man who dresses in all black and wears a hat. He likes to linger in the seance room on the second floor. The seance room has wood paneling that has carvings of flowers and demons. The phantom of a balding monk has been seen in the lantern room, and the apparition of an elegant Georgian lady has been seen in the room. Doors open and shut on their own. There is an eerie screeching that can be heard coming from the attic. The sad spirit of a young servant girl who was raped by her master and murdered by his enraged mistress is constantly heard sobbing in the basement. Sometimes the ghost of a little girl who fell to her death at the back of the house is seen running and playing nearby the window that led to her death. A distraught lady can be found in the kitchen before vanishing, and a sinister presence can sometimes be felt throughout the old home. Cold spots, orbs, and unknown sounds and snarling can be heard coming from the empty rooms. Even a scratching sound can be heard coming from one wall where the ghost of an old cat that was bricked up inside the wall can still be heard trying to escape. Would you visit this old medieval house if it was reopened to the public? Stirling Castle is second only to Edinburgh Castle as the most important castle in Scottish history. Located in Stirling, Scotland, it was the seat of power in the north and was used as the royal residence of numerous Scottish kings and queens. The castle began as a strategic fortification in the 12th century atop Castle Hill, an intrusive rock formation. Several legends attribute the Stirling Castle as the home of King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table. Most buildings that are still standing on the castle grounds date back to the 15th and 16th centuries. The castle has had a violent history full of bloodshed and betrayal that includes at least 8 different sieges, along with centuries of warfare and tragedy that has left Stirling Castle full of spirits and ghouls that are trapped within the old walls of the fortress. The most active ghost is the Green Lady, who enjoys watching the daily lives of the living from the shadows. Many who witness her faint from fear, causing some to believe she brings misfortune to those who see her. Others associate appearances of the Green Lady with several fires throughout the castle's history and believe she is an omen that warns people of approaching danger. Some think the Green Lady may have been a servant to Mary Queen of Scots, who died saving the Queen from a fire in her bedroom. During the heroic rescue, the servant wore a green bedroom gown, leaving many to believe she is the Green Lady, who is often seen in a green mist. Others say she was a young lass who starved to death inside the castle during King Edward's siege of the castle. Another legend says she was the daughter of Stirling's governor, who fell in love with an officer stationed at the castle. However, her love was killed in an accident at a castle, and in her grief, she threw herself to her death from the castle wall. Another colorful female phantom is the Pink Lady, who is named after the flowing pink gown she is spotted wearing. Some believe she is the spirit of Mary Queen of Scots, who was crowned at the castle. However, the Pink Lady is often seen walking from the castle to the nearby church of Holyrood, leading many to think she is the spirit of a widow looking for her lost husband who died in battle and was buried in the church's graveyard. Highland Soldier is another famous apparition that is frequently seen around the castle, wearing traditional Highland clothing. He is usually mistaken as a tour guide before unsuspecting tourists see him vanish into a nearby wall. In 1935, the Highland Soldier was photographed by an architect who was surveying for a renovation of the castle. The ghostly figure could be found on the original film negatives as well, so it wasn't caused by an error in developing the film. Unknown sounds, footsteps, and voices are often heard inside the castle, usually coming from an upper room in the governor's block. Some attribute these noises to the Highland Soldier, while others believe they are caused by the spirit of a man who was found dead with his eyes and mouth wide open. No one knows how exactly he died, but he was found inside the governor's block. Finally, the restless noises in the castle may be the result of the spirits of the conjoined twins that were hidden and locked inside the castle by James V. Legend has it that the twins were used as oracles by the king, but were greatly mistreated. One was even forced to continue making prophecies after the other had died. Located in the town of Watton-under-Edge, England, is the infamous ancient Ram Inn. It was built in 1145 and was originally used to house slaves and workers who were constructing St. Mary's Church. It was owned by the church for years and was used to house clergymen. It was eventually sold off and has been used as a pub, bed and breakfast, private residence, and inn. It is believed to be one of the most haunted buildings in the United Kingdom, with centuries of documented hauntings that were well publicized by the previous owner, John Humphreys, before his death. Numerous legends surround the house. Some believe it was built on an ancient pagan ritual ground. Mr. Humphreys discovered the skeletal remains of children and evidence that ritual sacrifices were being performed on the property. The ancient Ram Inn supposedly sits on the intersection of two ley lines that run through the center of Stonehenge. It is thought that ancient pagans believed the area was full of high spiritual energy, so the site was used for ceremonies and as a burial ground. The inn is full of known ghosts. There is a spirit named Rosie who is the ghost of a young girl who was murdered in the inn. Another, known as the Witch, who is believed to be the spirit of a woman who rented a room to hide in while she was being hunted for witchcraft. She was eventually discovered and burned at the stake. Her old room is known as the Witch's Room because soon after her death, guests began encountering an angry spirit of a woman who would lash out at them in their sleep. There is a succubus, a male sex demon, who will visit the beds of those staying the night in the ancient Ram Inn. There's also an apparition of a high priestess that enjoys scaring people in the middle of the night. No one is allowed a peaceful night's rest in the inn. Mr. Humphreys had the house featured on numerous paranormal TV shows. He claimed that his wife and 3 daughters moved out after having too many encounters at night. He had to scatter toys around the building and property to ease the ghostly screams and cries of children at night. Until his death, Mr. Humphreys claimed that he was attacked by numerous unknown entities in the house each night. He would often see the spirits of old owners sitting together, reminiscing of times long past. It seemed like anyone who had experienced misfortune in the inn was to be trapped there. The most haunted room is the Bishop's Inn on the first floor. 9 different ghosts haunt the room. No one can make it through a whole night in this room. Guests have reported seeing ghosts, strange mists, and waking up to an old monk staring at them in the night. I believe the ancient Ram Inn is only open to those doing a guided paranormal tour or investigations of the property. Would you be brave enough to visit the old inn or spend a night there if you had the chance? Thanks, strangers, for watching. This video was a collaboration with Unit 522. Be sure to check out his channel for the other half of 10 chilling tales from the United Kingdom and Ireland. Be sure to leave him a comment letting him know you came from us. It helps us out a lot. Let us know in the comments below which story was your favorite. And as always, stay strange.